another episode of our E3 coverage. This time we're covering the Bethesda presentation, and I'm Luis, aka Sprancelov, and today we have...
TJ1023. Oddly, the most energetic person here.
And Jim's in the background. Say hi, Jim. Be quiet. I'm sorry. So, TJ, you did watch the whole thing then, right?
Yeah, except for like 2 minutes when I thought it was over and it actually wasn't.
Now you
towards
fucked
the
up.
end. Yeah.
Fuck you.
I thought overall it was pretty good. Obviously, not as big a bombshell as last year's with the announcement of Fallout 4, but still a pretty good press conference.
Yeah. So there were some things like, for example, the Quake game they're releasing. Have you ever played any Quake games, TJ? Or do you know anything about Quake?
Not very much. I didn't really get into that kind of stuff because I was a little too young.
Yeah.
I didn't play Doom or any of that, but it seems like it could be an interesting game, especially for, new people like me who haven't, really been introduced to the series.
Yeah, I get the feeling this one is gonna be sort of like Overwatch-esque. It's pretty much just gonna be multiplayer and stuff. And but it could be interesting. Like I remember back when I was a kid and reading gaming magazines, and people were all over Quake, calling it super innovative and cool and all that. But again, like you, I was a bit too young and I didn't play those games for whatever reason. So it could be interesting. I'm cautiously optimistic about that one.
Yeah, and it seems to me like it also kind of reminded me of like the whole like kind of Overwatch thing. Like it kind of had that feel with like you have unique characters with unique abilities. I can kind of see that, and it definitely seems like it's going to be a more multiplayer focused game.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest difference between that and Overwatch is more like a team based strategy, whereas Quake, and they even kind of have set that precedent. It's just kill people, move fast, just kill everything that moves. It's your
And
basic.
teabag people. Don't forget the
Yeah.
teabag.
I mean, I was about to say basic, but it's not really a basic shooter, which is kind of weird because those used to be the basic shooters, and now we've moved past that. But that's more of a podcast discussion.
Yeah, I have some stuff to say about that as well. But another thing that drew my attention was that apparently, like both the EA and the Bethesda conference, it seems like every game that has a multiplayer aspect these days, they want to get a slice of that esports pie. So, because it drags in money apparently, but I don't know if that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but a lot of games have their own sort of communities where they do stuff like that. Like, Halo's been trying to do the Halo Championship Series, which they've done successfully in the past. And Overwatch, there's a big debate about whether or not they can get into that kind of stuff. But I can totally see Quake becoming kind of a serious thing. Like I said, I've never played it before, so I don't have much to contribute on the nostalgia side, which I'm sure there are a lot of older players. Not that I'm saying all people that played Quake are old, but
Now you're calling me old. Fuck you. So one thing that I really got excited about, but sort of cautiously optimistic again, is the new Fallout DLC. They showed a little bit of that. Again, I really need to get that fucking season pass because man, uh, like the settlement thing, it's kind of it's an added bonus. There is some cool stuff. I've only recently got into the whole let's build a decent settlement that's just not a bunch of wood thrown together, and I can see the fun in that now. But Nuka World seems like it could be a big deal, you know. Even though it's sort of leaked a bit, like people found that in the game files, but seeing that on the screen, a bit of their vision for it, got me a little excited.
yeah, I think it could be an interesting addition to the Fallout universe. Like, there hasn't really been anything like it. Or I mean, there have been, but it just seems like a weird take on a lot of the other DLCs that they've had in the past. At least the ones I've played, like you had the Pit from Fallout 3. Brotherhood of Steel was obviously just a main story expansion. There was one where you went to Maryland, which was kind of remade in Far Harbor. But Nuka Land or Nuka World, sorry, seems like it has a little bit of potential to be interesting. I'm kind of interested in the fact that, like, I don't know, I'd be interested in whether or not it's like considered a settlement or if it's actually a theme park. Like, did these raiders come, or did these people come in and settle it, turn it into a town, or is it literally a theme park that just exists to rake in caps?
Yeah, I really expect this is not just like one extra location on the map and then you explore for 5 minutes and then you're done, you know. I hope it's a bigger deal. I haven't played Far Harbor, but I've heard it's pretty big. So something between the Mechanist DLC, which I haven't also played, but I've heard some stuff. So something between the Mechanist DLC, Automatron, that's the word, and Far Harbor. You know, some quests, some new equipment, some new locations and stuff. That could be good. But if it's just a settlement or just one location more on the map, it's
Well,
gonna
I
be
mean,
like
for
meh.
sure, it's definitely going to be bigger than the settlement updates and the workshop updates. Is probably going to be like an actual story DLC. Hopefully, similar in size to like Dawn Guard or the Pit. Any of those other ones, they were kind of short 5-6 hour story DLCs. If they're at least as good as that, I mean, I think that'll be worth it. The when I said I was hoping it wasn't a settlement, I was kind of just like, I want something a little bit on the ridiculous side, you know,
Yeah,
and
I
it
get that.
like an actual theme park in an apocalypse is just the most ridiculous thing I can think of, and I just think that would be hilarious.
Because it seems like Fallout 4 was a bit more on the serious side. It had its comedic moments, but for example, it didn't have the Wild Wasteland thing, which you got like some extra
Yeah.
Easter eggs and
Oh,
stuff.
and
So
speaking of that, that was one thing I was kind of expecting them to announce was a Fallout Obsidian game. I was a little disappointed they didn't announce anything like that.
yeah, but I don't think they're gonna release one anytime soon.
Yeah, I guess it's been a little too early. Maybe next E3 we can look forward to one.
Yeah, hopefully. Or yeah, you know.
But I
And
mean,
sorry.
oh, you can go.
Now I was just gonna move on to the Skyrim HD or whatever they're calling these days.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that was one thing I was looking forward to a lot coming up, going up to E3. I was hoping they would announce it, but then I watched one of the off-topic podcasts, and I think Jack Patillo mistakenly thought they were doing like he kind of mistook the rumors. He thought there was going to be an Oblivion remake, and then that made me think, oh, hey, I would love an Oblivion remake even more than a Skyrim remake. But now they're just doing a Skyrim remake, so I'm disappointed. So
God damn
fuck
it,
you, Jack
Jack.
Patillo. I
So
love you.
yeah, I mean, it seems like a bit of a pointless remake for PC gamers, I guess, because I keep seeing posts on the internet like how they mod the games until their computers break. Not the game, the computer itself. But the graphics look a lot like what they're going for with this HD stuff. So
Well,
I think it's mostly for consoles.
well, I think it's entirely for consoles
Yeah.
because like all the settings that the new one is going to come with are pretty much they were pre-existing settings that came with Skyrim for PC. It's just the Xbox 360 couldn't handle those. So I'm guessing that it's been updated with higher resolution models, updated textures, little things that they got complaints about even on the PC, and they've just updated that and released it for the consoles because anything like that has probably been fixed in mods. But on top of that, it's cool that they're going to be adding mod support with the new game.
Yeah, I guess it's the sort of thing that probably will start seeing more on the coming games, Maybe just for
Especially from
Bethesda
Bethesda.
or, yeah, especially from Bethesda. Maybe the other developers will catch up to that. And there was like they announced a lot of stuff. So the next one on my list is Prey. So what did you think of Prey?
I know the game. I know there was an original version of the game that came out in 2005.
Oh,
I don't know anything about it because I was actually watching a stream with a couple of my friends, and one of them recognized it. But it seems like an interesting game. It's definitely in the whole kind of thriller horror genre, thriller shooter horror genre, which it's interesting that they're trying to go back to that because it seems like we're kind of saturated with things like that a little bit with Doom and well, I guess we're not overly saturated, not like zombie games, but it's something that's been done. It's not necessarily completely new, but if they go about it in a fun way, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't play it.
yeah. The thing that struck me about Prey, and I don't know if the original was mostly like that. I'm reading here, and on Wikipedia I found a page, and it seems a bit different, but it reminded me part of the premise of Dead Space. Like you are in a ship in space, and then all of a sudden some weird ass aliens attack, and they're creepy as fuck. So, you know, that part reminded me a bit of it. But
Yeah,
there are some other elements that seem like they're a bit different, so I guess
I mean, for one thing, it's a
its own
first-person
thing.
shooter,
Well, yeah.
and it's got like weird shadow aliens. Like I don't know what that's about. Oh,
And experimentations and stuff.
I gotta say I was confused for a second because they kept mentioning the names Alex and Morgan, and I guess in my mind I associate Morgan with Freeman. So for some reason, Alex and Freeman, and I was thinking, is this Half Life? Whoa, is this Half Life 3? And the rational part of my brain is like, no, this isn't Half Life 3. It's Bethesda. But I just that just kind of bugged me about the naming because a
Wishful
little
thinking on your part.
not really wishful thinking. I'm not one of the I only want to see Half Life 3 come about just to see what would happen. Like, would the world implode? Would the stock markets crash? Would people just lose their minds and the world turn to anarchy? That's the only reason I would really care to see Half Life 3. But besides that, Prey looks pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so next up, Doom. Pretty much they just sang Doom's praises, but the different thing here is that they plan on updating the game a bit more, and they finally announced DLC for it. Yay, DLC! Woohoo! But I will give them credit for it that it's like multiplayer DLC, so it's not anything lacking in the story. It's just pretty much cosmetic stuff and apparently some guns and a new demon for the multiplayer map. So it's kind of alright. On my book, it's alright because I'm not a big multiplayer kind of guy. But I don't know. What's your take on it?
I mean, it seems kind of like a traditional, like a very traditional, first-person shooter DLC. 3 new maps and new guns, maybe, or guns and I guess in this case, new aliens. It's kind of your generic first, DLC back, but it might. But I mean, the game did just only come out, so it might just be kind of a filler, something to actually present at E3. Because I mean, they probably don't have much to work with, and I know Doom, as opposed to Quake, is a more story oriented game, so they might be working on story DLC later on down the pipe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I haven't played Doom, but I did play the beta, and I know a little bit about the campaign from what few videos I've seen, and it seems interesting. I would have gotten it now if I had any money, but I don't, so I haven't played it and don't know if it's good or not. But from what I've heard, it seems like it's a pretty decent game.
Yeah, rip in peace our wallets.
At least it's
uh,
not like the summer when Skyrim came out, or summer. I don't think it was summer, but that year that Skyrim came out, there were like 5 or 6 really good games just coming out back to back. At least it's not gotten to that point quite yet. I feel like developers have just like started to space their stuff out.
And hey, if you hear anything, teacher was young, he needed the money.
We'll
He
suck dicks for
totally
money. Just kidding. Just kidding. That's totally not true.
wink.
Uh,
So to dig you out of your hole, you have played Elder Scrolls Online before, haven't you?
very briefly, I played it when it first came out for consoles. I played it with some friends. I kind of stopped playing because I got a little bored, but that was mainly because my friends stopped playing, and also it was really hard to play with people in other factions. Because if you didn't know, it has three factions that are they start off in three different parts of the world, and they cannot interact with each other in any way whatsoever. And when you have friends in different factions, it makes it really hard to play with them. But actually, I'm not sure, but I think that's one of the other things they announced for Elder Scrolls Online was this fall. I think the Tamriel Unlimited or Tamriel Free or something like that.
One Tamriel or something.
Yeah, one Tamriel. I think that's going to make it so that people in different factions can actually join up and play together. So when that comes out, I might go
Ooh.
back if it means it's easier to actually group up with people. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Elder Scrolls Online, so I can't really give much of an insight on it.
I mean, I don't have too much experience playing MMOs. I played Guild Wars 2 a little bit. I played Elder Scrolls Online. That's about it. But it was pretty good. Like I said, the only thing that stopped me playing was just not being able to easily play with my friends. So, if it makes it easier, I might do it. Might go back. Heck, I might even go back and download it tonight and see what's up.
Cool. And they very briefly mentioned they are gonna try to get into the VR market, which is kind of, it's interesting, especially with the things they were promising, like VR Fallout and VR Doom 2 or something like that. I didn't pay much of attention, until they talked about Fallout, and then I was like, what? Because usually when you see VR stuff, most of them are closer to what an indie game is or used to be. But when you announce something with the size that is Fallout or Doom for VR, it's kind of a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I I would be more excited for it if I actually had a Vive, but I think that's really expensive. Also, I'm pretty sure you need a PC for it, so I'm kind of boned in that department. Um, Also, I think it would. I'm not entirely sure how like Fallout or Doom would work on the Vive. Like my only experience with it is watching, Achievement Hunters VR the Champion Let's Plays, and don't get me wrong, those are hilarious to watch. But I just think it's more of something I'd rather watch at the moment until it becomes more of a price friendly thing. Like I'm not entirely sure how many people out there are ready to jump into the VR train at the current price range.
Yeah. Besides, the VR train is only now leaving the station, if you think about it. If you compare it to the time the other kinds of games had to develop. So, it has potential. That's as much as I can predict about it, I guess, if you can call
Oh
it a
yeah,
prediction.
it definitely has potential. Like maybe in like 10 years when I'm a software engineer or something and have all the money in the world to use on disposable income or whatever like that, I'll be able to afford that stuff. But for now, being a poor college student, I'm happy with my console peasant ways.
So, the last thing on my list here is Dishonored. That game actually seems interesting to me now because I didn't play Dishonored 1 for whatever reason. Again, it seems like it's interesting, but I never did play it. When the trailers for Dishonored 2 came out, I was like, yeah, okay, I don't really care. But seeing the gameplay and all that, it kinda, it makes me want to try playing Dishonored 1 and, get the feeling of this IP. Although Dishonored 2 did I even mentioned that with Jim that it seems like Bioshock, especially Infinite, Thief and Mirror's Edge had some sort of threesome, and Dishonored 2 came out as a baby because it just reminded me a lot of those three games of the parkour and then the stealth stuff and the looks of Bioshock Infinite.
Hmm. Yeah, I can totally see that. I played the first Bioshock. It was a I had a blast. Like the game was really fun, and I feel like they've fixed at least one of my major complaints about that with the second game, which was in the first game, the ending of the story you got was based on basically whether or not you killed anybody during your playthrough of the game. If you killed a lot of people, which most people would do because, when you play video games, not everybody wants to stealth their way through. Sometimes you just want to bash a few heads, bash a few heads in, and that would
For
affect
all
your
the
ending of the
heads.
game, and it wouldn't be the best ending, which is kind of the same thing as Bioshock. But they seem to have changed that with like your choices are actually affected, which is kind of nice. Like it's what you actually do to affect the story, not some arbitrary thing like did you murder people? Yes. Well, shit. Now the world's going to hell.
And
You
it's
know what I
all
mean?
thanks to you.
But they seem to have addressed that in a meaningful way, and I kind of see what you mean about the like the combination of games. And you can say, I think you can say that about a lot of games. This looks like that, and that looks like this. But I've gotten to the point where I just look at games from, I try to look at most games at face value. I don't try to like judge them based on comparisons to other things. But
Yeah.
I can
I
understand that, and I think that like all those things put together might not necessarily be a bad thing. I think it
Oh
looks
yeah.
pretty good.
I mean those three games had a threesome in a good way, you know.
Oh, a good baby threesome.
Yeah, it's one of those HD more artistic threesomes. If what is that a thing? I don't know.
So you didn't get Dishonored when it was a Xbox game with gold?
No, I don't think so. I think by the time they gave it away, I just had the one, or maybe I didn't even have the one, and so I didn't get that one. I didn't get Bioshock Infinite as well, so I cry every time I remember that.
Yeah, I would go back and play it, except my old 360 controller is like really fucked up, and I can't really aim with it anymore. So that's my only gripe with the definitive edition is that they by making the actual Xbox One port, they didn't allow Xbox backward compatibility. So that's my only complaint with that. But you know, stuff happens. Other than that, Dishonored 2, great games.
And one thing though, and Jim, I know you're keeping quiet for this one, but I need your view on this. Should I talk about my suspicion of a major spoiler in the trailer or not? I mean, in
Uh,
case I'm right.
I mean, if you want to, you can. I don't know anything about the Dishonored series, so I mean, if you think that there's something there, I didn't see what you saw, but if you think there's
All
something
right.
there and you want to talk about it, go for it.
So potential spoiler, but then again, it's midnight 43 and I'm super tired, so I could be very well mistaken. Besides, I haven't played Dishonored, so take whatever I say with a major grain of salt, like an entire refinery of salt. Um, I think they might have shown some big spoilers for the gameplay trailer because they say that at the very beginning of the game you get to choose whether you're gonna play with Corvo or Emily. I think it's the lady's name. Um, and so it seems like if you choose one, the other one dies. I could be mistaken, but there are some parts of the trailer that maybe like the faces that you have shown seem like it was Emily or Corvo. I just got a feeling that unless I mistook the faces like a confused characters, in which case I'm just rambling on.
Yeah,
So yeah, if they did
I
reveal a major spoiler in the trailer, that's a big fuck up right there.
I don't think I didn't see anything like that, and I kind of see where you might have seen that. Like, I think there was one scene showing a bunch of dead people on a floor in like the royal throne room or whatever.
Yeah, like
Well,
the
that may have
lady
been it.
picking up the ring, and then there's a part that one of the characters is trying to reach out to someone who is apparently dying. So
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back and look through the trailer again, which makes my next statement a lot of baseless assumptions. But well, not baseless, but just assumptions. I don't think they're going to kill each other off. Well, not kill each other off. I don't think that choosing one is going to kill off the other because I think I remember from either last E3 or sometime I don't know some one of the first Dishonored 2 things. I think I remember them saying something about switching between Emily or Corvo at the beginning of each mission,
oh
and also on top of that, the one of the big things I had in the trailer was take back what's yours. And taking back what's yours makes sense for Emily because she'd be trying to take back her, throne or whatever. But if you choose Corvo and Emily dies, then you're not really taking back what's yours, you're just getting revenge.
yeah, I guess it
Because
makes
he
sense.
he has no he has no claim to any throne or anything. He's just a bodyguard. So that's just my take on that. But you could be right. I'd have to go back and watch the trailer.
Too long didn't listen. I have no fucking clue what we're talking about.
Lies and slander.
All right. So, anything else about the presentation?
Um, no, just the presentation needed more Todd Howard.
Oh yeah, it needed more Todd Howard. The the
Todd,
last
Todd,
guy who was talking, like he was rubbing his nipples and stuff. Like literally, there was one time that it seemed like he rubbed his nipple on
yeah,
stage, dude. Come on.
and at the very end, he kind of he just said, "Oh, hey guys, here's the stuff. Bye."
Yeah. So but all in all, I think it was a pretty good presentation. One thing that oh wait, except for one thing that really bothered me, there was some asshole who was barking after every video. So they showed the trailer, some idiot was like, woof woof woof. The
What
fuck
about
is
what
wrong?
about the girl who screamed at
And
everything?
there was some chick like yelling all the time. So guys, come on, people can hear
Shut
you.
up.
Yeah, I didn't pay too much attention to that, except for at one point. I think one guy yelled before literally everyone else in the audience yelled. I don't even remember what. I think it might have been Quake. One guy yelled like a full second and a half before everyone else reacted to it, and it was just one guy yelling "Yeah," and then like nothing. Also, sorry if that ruined the audio or the levels. I don't think I was too loud.
Yeah. And one last thing. Apparently, we went back to the early 2000s or the late 90s because there was going to be a show with Blink 182 and their new album. The fuck?
I mean,
That's
maybe you are back in the '90s. Quake, Doom, Blink
right?
182.
Yeah. Jesus, dude. So, well, but I should do some research on this Blink 182 business, see what this is about, because I had no idea they were joining up again. But anyway,
Born too
so
late to be in the '90s will bring the '90s to you.
I guess that's kind of the spirit nowadays. All right, so I think that does it for the Bethesda conference. Um, you guys got anything else to add?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay then. So everyone, thank you so much for listening, and tune in again for the rest of the E3 stuff, and check out our other stuff as well. So bye.
Bye.